May you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Hera. I'm from Kerala in India, and I'm born and raised in UAE.
Can you reveal most common stereotypes about India or and about Indian people in general?
Um, there's a lot. There is the classic street shitters. Then there is the notion that all of us look the exact same, that everyone is poor, that we are all unattractive, and that we are all Hindus.
So India is one of the most populated country in the world. I think first place is China and second one is India. So can you explain how this like overpopulation affect your life, affect life of people who live in India, and in what way?
Because of the population, the main problem is unemployment
Mm-hmm.
because there's only so many job opportunities to go around, and everyone, for more opportunities, they would go to main cities like, for example, Delhi. And what happens is the city becomes overpopulated and there's not enough jobs. And yeah, also high pollution, and there's not enough resources for all the people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one of the main problems
Mm-hmm.
because of overpopulation in India.
Yeah, and talking about pollution, I heard I checked in the application like IQ Air. I check where in the world the most pollution right now in the moment, and India always in a high position of air pollution. It's always a high level of air pollution, and also water is not very clean in India. How do you survive with the air and with the environment there?
The pollution and environment in different states are completely different. So in Delhi, the one of the most popular cities, the pollution is very, very high, right?
Mhm.
You can feel the smoke hit your face. Even the Taj Mahal is kind of yellowish in color because of all the pollution and acid rain and stuff like that. But the state I'm from, Kerala, is like very rich in trees and like lots of rain and just less pollution,
Mhm.
right? So when I go there, all I smell is just dewdrops and the rain. But then that's not the situation in other states or cities, because
Mhm.
it's a huge country, so it's different everywhere
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, acid rain is a thing, and then all types of pollution, just air pollution, noise pollution, traffic is a huge problem there.
Mm-hmm. And what about traffic? I saw a lot of video with, I think many people saw it, this funny video when light go green, everyone from every side go and ride. So how do you drive? There is some rules or there is no rule?
Like I always say this to all my friends: if you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world. Because oh my god, okay, so it might be a single road, but cars will be driving from both sides, like
Mm-hmm.
on one single road from both sides. So but then the drivers are like super experienced. I don't know how they go without touching the other car,
Yeah.
right? It's very dangerous, and there's a lot of potholes because like in India it rains a lot, right? We have like monsoon season as well, so it rains a lot, so we have a lot of potholes. And since it's a huge country, it takes time to like get it all fixed. So yeah, like driving itself, and there's not a lot of traffic signals as well. Like it's kind of like people know the road rules and they go accordingly, like it depends on the city. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's traffic's a huge problem in India.
Yeah, but it's looks crazy. Like everyone from each side, and they don't touch each other. They somehow manage to go.
There's also excessive honking. So in my state in Kerala, there is like one region where it's like full of hills,
Mhm.
right? So you go up the hills. So
Mhm.
over there, what happens is they constructed the roads on top of the mountain. So there's not much space for the roads. It's just one road.
Mhm.
So from this side is the road, and this side is just a fall,
Yeah.
right? So over there, you can't, it's since it's like hairpin bends, you can't see the coming car. So everyone just keeps honking to
Mhm.
make sure that the car is coming. So
Yeah.
because of that, there's a lot of excessive honking,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Overall, can you? name positive and negative sides of living in India, and also what difficulties people can face, and what the positive sides that people can face living there.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in UAE, but I have lived in India for 3 years, right? So like in middle school and in high school, right? Positive and negative. Well, my state in Kerala is has the highest education rates, is the most safest state. So for me, like anywhere in India, it would be best if as a woman you don't go out like too late at night when you're alone, right? It's, I think as a general rule in most countries it's not like very safe, but yeah, it would definitely be, especially in like overcrowded cities like Delhi and all. Delhi is actually known as the rape capital, so that's a very scary title to have. Yeah. But then states like Kerala, like because people are so educated and everyone is like very family oriented. India as a whole is very family oriented. So like I don't know, as a family to settle in India, it's quite nice, right? Everyone is very business minded. There's a lot of opportunities. Like I always feel like compared to UAE, there's so much more opportunities in every aspect in India, for sports, for any kind of like for music and art and like the everything. There's a lot of opportunities present in India, right? But then the cons would be the safety, for sure. It depends state to state. Some states are very safe, some states are not so much, right? You must have heard yourself of like many like infamous cases in India. But then one thing about India is we are very politically aware. Like everyone, one thing about India is any crime or anything that happens, the whole world knows about it, because Indians are so vocal about problems in India. Like we don't keep mum, right? Everyone is like speaking out, like, oh no, this happened, we need justice. So there might be riots, there might be protests till we get like till we it is fair for us, right? So like I think, yeah, India is the largest democracy in the world as well. So it's like people have like, you know, a good voice there. So yeah, a couple pros and cons, but for me I feel like the main negative would be just safety problem, and also like in larger cities unemployment and resources are limited. Like there are days when they would bring water for like washing and stuff like that, right? So like to wash your clothes, wash your dishes and all, like washing your hands, water for that they will bring like a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 days a week, right, in certain cities, right? And then in other cities like it just comes through tap water like everyone else. Like I said, it's very different everywhere.
I understand. And what about educational system in India in general? Like everyone able to get free education? It's not a problem to about educational system.
I think the education system in India is actually very good, right? It's very competitive, but it's very good. So I personally, when I studied in India, I studied in a private institution, private school, but my cousins, they study in government schools. So the thing about government schools is they it's almost for free. They just take money from you to give you food, right? And that's just like 1 or 2 rupees, right? So that's nothing, not even 1 dirham, right? Like that. So they just take a small amount of money from you, so that, and they in some states in India they'll give you free food during lunchtime, so they can promote like children to come to school. So like for example, farmers who can't afford their kids to go to school, and they might think it's better that my kid works, there's not enough money to send the kid off to college, right? So what the government did is they implemented like this midday meal policy, so that at least so that the kids get food, the parents will send the kids to school, and then while getting the food they also get the education. And once they've like reached a certain level, they can like somehow like higher education is a possibility, right? Like that. So I think the school system is pretty good. But then again, like I said, my state is one of the highest educated in India. I think 95% of the state is educated. So like how it is in my state, again it's different, but most of India, the education system is pretty good. They actually teach in English, and then the state language, and then the national language as well.
I understand.
Yeah.
And can you name main languages in India. I heard that India have a lot of languages. And how do you communicate in between of the states with each other if languages is different? Can you a little bit more explain what languages it is that and how you can understand each other?
Okay, so India has a crazy amount of languages. There are a lot that is recognized and maybe more than 100 that is not recognized, right? So all of India, the national language is Hindi. So everyone mostly speaks Hindi, but then everyone in India also speaks English, right? Like you don't even need to know any language in India. You can just go, and for foreigners, it's very easy because everyone, like the school system, education system is in English, the work is in English. So like if you know English, it's easy to get by. But Hindi is the national language, so all of India speaks Hindi, and then each state has their own state language. So for my state, Kerala, we speak Malayalam. The neighboring state speaks Tamil, and then Telugu, there's Punjabi, Urdu, Sanskrit, Gujarati, all many different types of languages. So as you go to different states, the languages, their state language changes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually really interesting. But like as an Indian, you always know like many languages just because of the amount of languages they teach in your state.
What about main religions in India?
So we don't have a main religion. Like we don't have a like Saudi's main religion is Islam. We don't have any kind of main religion, but the highest, most common religion is Hinduism. After Hinduism, it's Islam, and then it's Christianity, right? And then we have like Buddhism, Judaism, and all that. But then the highest population is Hinduism, and then right after Islam.
So I heard that you have a Hindi calendar. It's mean that instead of 4 seasons, you have 6 seasons. You call it like pre-winter, something like that. Like every season, like you have not only winter but also pre-winter, and not only spring but also something else. Or like after summer you have something. Can you explain a little bit about this and what does this mean? Why 6 seasons?
India is a very tropical climate. I mean, India overall has mostly very tropical climate. So in certain states, like we have like heavy monsoon, right? Monsoon season. So it just rains for like every single day, so heavy to the point at one point we thought that the dams would break because they were overfilling with water, right? And this was, I think, in 2019 in Kerala. There was so much rain that water started filling in the houses, and they were getting alligators inside the house. So yeah, because they would flow from the forest and like that. So like people were being evacuated to certain areas. So there's that much rain, right? But then I think for the seasons, like India is such a huge country. Every there's like different climatic conditions in different states. So if you go to Jammu Kashmir, you can see snow-capped mountains and it snows there. And likewise, the way the people look itself is completely different now. And then there's deserts, there is big cities, and then there's rivers and all kinds of like different geographic landscapes and stuff. So because of that, I feel like we have to have 6 seasons because like what we have here is not what we have there. Something like that. Yeah.
And talking about flora and fauna, you already just mentioned that you have different landscapes and different weather. Can you tell me which type of animals do you have? Which type of animals surrounded in India, and also a little bit about climate overall?
India is very rich in flora and fauna, like all over India. Like our national animal is the Bengal tiger, and the national bird is the peacock. And like different states, like there are in certain cities in my state, they are known just for like capturing fish because it's so rich in marine life. And there are just, I don't know, just the climatic conditions is very good for them. So there's goats and cows everywhere. Like you go on the street, it's like how you might see cats in UAE. You see goats just there. Like my childhood was just me catching the goats on the street and holding them in my hand, like that. So lots of birds, you'll see like all kinds, like you'll see all kinds of insects, all kinds of like animals, birds, like that, and especially like in more tropical states, it's very nice. It's very rich.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it depends on state to state. Like if you go to Jammu Kashmir, you'll find more animals suited for their climate, and so on and so forth.
There is some rule that you cannot damage or kill cows, and they walking to the street. It's a lot of cows, and they're like pets, like animals. Cows everywhere. It's true.
No, it's not a rule in India. It's more like
Religion.
yeah, religious. So it's not from, but yeah, religious belief. So for Hindus, they believe that the cows are sacred. They're not gods, but they're sacred, right? So because cows give us, like, they give us milk, they give us cheese, they give us like urine and dung and milk, cheese, and ghee, right? So like cow gives way more to us humans than they take from us, right? And like even in their books of like in their holy books, it said like cows are like sacred, they're like mothers, all that.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to eat cows, you're not supposed to eat beef. So that is Hindus' personal beliefs. For them, it's mainly like vegetarian, right? Don't kill animals, that's their main belief, right? But then Muslims, in Muslim Islam, the belief is that you, according to the god, it's like you can eat whatever you want. He has created all this, like, plants, animals, all for you to consume, right? And that they will go to heaven, right? Which is why they have the halal way of cutting and all that. But then, so with the cow, the problem is, so our current prime minister Narendra Modi, he is like part of the leading party BJP. So he has like his followers has taken it upon themselves to like kill Muslims who are eating beef, right? So they will like go into Muslims' house and look for beef, and then they'll kill the people. This is in only in certain states, right? Certain states. This is in I'm not sure. I think it's in Gujarat, right? So over there, and so in my state, everyone, you will find a Christian church and a mosque and a Hindu temple all right next to each other. Right? It's not a problem. Religion isn't a problem. Different states, like I said, it's different. But then in states like Gujarat, it's like the leading party there is BJP, right? So like his followers, the prime minister isn't we don't like our prime minister, basically, right? So he's like saying like, how can you eat beef, all that, and then his followers goes and starts killing or hitting people, right? So this is a huge problem in India, but the prime minister won't say anything about it. So the BJP party, or like Hindus, they don't eat beef, but then it's not a rule in India because you can't implement a rule, right? It's not a religious country, right? It's a democratic country, so you can do what you want, right? But yeah, that's the gist. It's a religious problem, it's not.
Can you name most important celebrations and holidays in India, and maybe some traditions around this celebration? How do you celebrate them?
I love the festivals in India because it's so culturally diverse, because we have a lot of religions, we have people from different states, and each state or the country as a whole has their own holidays. So we have Holi, we celebrate Eid, we celebrate Diwali. So Holi is the festival of colors. So during Holi, everyone is just throwing powdered color on each other with water, right? It's a very colorful festival. It's celebrated all over India. And then Diwali is a festival of light. So everyone lights candles, and like it's just like full lights. They like light candles and let it go in the water, like that. So during so they celebrate Ramadan, and then like they practice Ramadan, and then they celebrate Eid as well. And which other festival? There's so many, I can't keep count. There's a lot of festivals. Yeah.
Talking about Indian cinematography and Bollywood, can you tell me a little bit about who is the most like famous directors in in Bollywood, and also how this how Bollywood overall affect people's life in India, affect Indian culture and maybe mentality, the way you think and you see things.
So Bollywood is very popular all over the world, right? The thing about Bollywood is they have like a big history of nepotism. So like the current big superstars, the current directors, they will only take their children and then their children. So it's like there is no opening or opportunity for newcomers. It's very rare because they only want this like this lineage of stars to continue, right? So like if, for example, there was Amitabh Bachchan and then his child, what's his name? His child got into the industry and he continued, right? And his wife is Aisha Rai. He like it's just like a whole lineage. They continue, and then there's this famous director Jackie Shroff. His child Tiger Shroff got into the industry, so they all just get their family in, and then doesn't let anyone else in, right? But then India is crazy about its movies, right? Because it's like high budget, and then the people are like very obsessed with the actors. So there's Shah Rukh Khan. He is like incredibly charismatic. Salman Khan, all these like big names that are like, you know, everyone in India, like all over India, everyone is obsessed with these actors. And then there is like different, like, so this is Bollywood, just Hindi movies, right? Bollywood is just in the language Hindi. And then there is in Telugu, there is in Tamil, there's in Malayalam. So like each of these has their own like superstars, right? So in Malayalam movies, like how we have Shah Rukh Khan, we have Mammootty and Mohanlal, and then in like there's different actors. But then the directors, there's like very famous ones, like we have like Yash Raj Films and stuff. So very talented. So it's like as soon as you see the name, you're like, okay, this is gonna be a good movie. But something about Indian movies is that it's very exaggerated, right? Like you will see one hero and you will see 100 warriors all coming with guns or knives at the same time to kill him. But somehow this one hero, he will like everyone. It's very funny. So like in Indian movies, there's a lot of heroism. People love seeing that. They go to see that like that. So it's very exaggerated, not very realistic, but like people just go there to have a good time, get away from like reality.
I understand. So for common people from India, for example, who have a talent of doing acting, it's not possible to go to Bollywood. It's only for the family, or it's still
like nepotism is a very big problem in Bollywood, right? But then there is an opportunity, but not everyone can make it all the way to the top. You know, like sometimes there are new actresses and all that, but then or actors, but it's not very easy to get into the industry. Like in Hollywood, for example, maybe every movie you'll keep seeing a new actor, or every series you'll keep on seeing new actors and actresses. But in India, they like to stick to their favorites because they are like, oh, this person has like a huge fan base and all that. And also there's a lot of like politics at the top, you know, like in the film industry as well. But there are like space for newcomers, just not like how it is in, for example, Hollywood.
Talking about Indian people, can you name maybe specific aspects of Indian personality? In general, of course, all people are different, but in general, can you highlight some things that will represent the common Indian person?
The common Indian person, they're mostly okay. So the older generation and the younger generation are completely different. But I feel the country as like older generation as a whole usually can be a bit more like judgmental, kind of judgy, right? So everyone, a lot of the people in India, they dress conservatively. So conservative dressing is important. So if you don't dress that way, you get a lot of looks in India, right? So this is just like India as a whole, like traditionally, they dress more conservatively. So like people can be kind of judgy if you're not dressed conservatively. And education is very important in India. So like the more highly educated you are, the more respect you have, right? So in like a joke in India where you either have to be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer in this order. So first is doctor, then engineer, then lawyer, right? If and they would prefer it if you didn't take anything to do with arts or humanities, because like music, acting, I don't know, doesn't make sense, right? So what other traits do they have? Yeah, so very serious about education, kind of judgy. Family is very important. Family is very important for Indians, right? That regardless of the age, everyone is very attached to their family. So in other countries, usually parents, they have like the old age, like they have funds saved up for retirement, right? Or they would either go to retirement homes or they just have their own funds to take care of themselves. But in India, there's no such thing. The kids take care of the parents, right? So some people, they stay with their parents, like they have huge houses and then there'll be like different rooms, right? So there's a lot of joint families in India as well. And some children, they just get a separate, like they buy a separate house for their parents and they'll take care of their parents, right? Because like in India, because of how like family is so encouraged, there's probably a lot of children, right? Like my dad's family, they have 7 children. My mom's family has 4 children. Everyone has a lot of children. 4 is considered less, if anything, right? So there's a lot of people that can help you, like, take care of the parents, like the mom and dad, right? So they consider it like a type of duty, and also just there's a lot of bonding between family. So it's like they're like, okay, I have to do this. So there's that. Even now, like very constantly you'll meet with your family. But besides that, religion, oh my god, religion is also like something like you will find any Indian, they hold religion close to their heart, right? So not like everyone is like, oh, you should follow this, not like that. Like they just, when you see an Indian, probably what religion they are from, right? Because it's just something they follow. Like even when getting married, if you are Muslim, you have to marry a Muslim. If you're Hindu, you have to marry a Hindu, like that. So it's very important, right? Then what else? Dressing style, like people like to dress in their cultural attire.
What does this mean, dressing Indian?
There's a lot of dresses. So people overall, everyone wears sari. So sari is like, it's like imagine a long shawl. So it's like they drape it around the waist and then over their shoulders, right? With like a gloves, like a crop top, right? And then they wear it like this. So that's a sari. So like the more richer ones are made with silk and stuff like that. And then in my state, we have churidar, right? So it's like a pant and then it's like a kurta. Have you seen like how Pakistanis wear with the cut in between, like that, right? And then there is anarkalis, which is long gowns with pants under and a shawl on top, like that. There's many different types of dresses. Is that also depends state to state. Like everyone has their state attire as well.
I saw also they put in between of eyebrow, they put sometimes this dot. What does this mean? This is religion thing or what?
Yeah, it's a religious thing actually. It's called Bindi. So there are different types. So usually the one you're talking about is like a sticker bindi. So they just put it over here. And then there is like married women. They have, so this is in Hinduism usually, right? But like sometimes a lot of other Indians also, like my cousins and I, we like wearing it as well, right? So that is one. And then there is married women. There's like this powder bindi, which they like put at the top, like over here.
Yeah, I
Right?
saw.
So that it shows they're married, right? So like when getting married also as a ceremony, they put it on for each other, like that. Yeah. So usually when dressing up, kind of like an accessory, they like put it here, but yeah, that's it.
And for foreigners, for people who is not from India, how to perfectly fit in India, in your country, how to be accepted by Indian society?
I think actually Indians are like, we are very proud of our culture, right? We have like a lot of like rich history and heritage and culture. So we love it when we see like foreigners and tourists when they're like appreciating our culture, or like they're trying to eat Indian food, or they're trying to wear Indian attire. In fact, we may dress you in it ourselves, right? so whenever we see, like, maybe even if you speak like a word of Hindi or something, we are like very excited and happy, right? So Indians love it when other countries are like interested in learning more about us. So this is like all of India. You go anywhere, it's the same thing. But like, what else? I think it would be like they would probably appreciate it more if like tourists were, more respectable with their clothing. Like there is like certain religious places. So like just when in Rome, right? So like different states have like different values that they respect. So it would be nice if like, tourists respected the religious and cultural values of the state as well.
Can you name some traditions and rituals that only Indian people have? For example, some rituals and tradition around marriage, because now there is some specific rituals around these ceremonies.
Again, marriage rituals also depends on religion, right? As you can tell, a lot of India's culture and everything revolves around religion. It's a very big factor in India. But so for marriages, one of my favorites is haldi. So haldi is like turmeric, right? They put turmeric on the bride. So like everyone dresses in yellow color. It's one of the days for the wedding, right? So everyone dresses in yellow color, and then they put turmeric on the bride's face, their hands, and everyone puts it on each other, like all the women, right? So it's like one day. And then there is mehendi, right? So this is haldi is usually celebrated. Initially it was celebrated by Hindus, but then now Muslims also we celebrate it. And mehendi is like a Hindu celebration. So what we do is henna, right? Henna tattoos, maybe you might, yeah. So we just call it mehendi or henna. So they make the henna or they buy it, and then there's a day where all the women put it on their hands. So the bride will have it done, and then everyone in the family, from the grandmom to the small children, everyone will have it done. So that's just one of the days for the weddings, right? So that is one. And then for Hindus wedding rituals are also very interesting. So they have different ones actually. There is one of these temples. Where is it in the south? It's in the south of India, right? So is it in Tamil Nadu? I'm not sure. So one of the temples, it has a lot of steps. It's said that if you can carry your bride all the way to the top, holding her in your hands, which means you guys will live like together, till the end of your days. You'll like have a very happy married life. That's one. And then there's another one where the bride and the groom will have like their shawls tied together, and they'll walk around the fire holding hands to like complete the marriage ritual, like that. And then there's a lot of marriage rituals. It's actually very nice. I've heard of big fat Indian wedding. So oh my god, India loves like you know how in certain countries people save for college when the child is born. In India they save for marriage, right? So the bigger the marriage, the better. It's also like a pride issue, right? But then Indians try to make their weddings like very grand. It goes for 5 to 6 days, right? Each day is like different. And then the amount of gold, there might be gold from here to like up until the waist, hands full of gold, and even over here, so it's a lot of gold. So it's huge wedding celebrations.
But Indian women in general, they love gold.
India is obsessed with gold as a whole. Even my mom, my family, since I was small, like when I was a baby, like I was just maybe 2 or 6 months old or something. Even then, I had like anklets made of gold, bangles made of gold, necklace made of gold, earrings, everything. Even around my waist, there is like something you put around your waist that is also made of gold. So like they're just crazy. They buy it like not as an investment, they buy it just as an accessory, but they try to justify it saying like, oh, it's an investment. Like if I want it in the future, it's there. So even when getting married, they say like, the bride has a lot of gold, right? When they're getting married. So they say it's for the new couple. So the bride they can keep the gold, or in the future, if they want to buy something with it, they can just sell the gold and buy something, maybe a car, a house, because there's that much gold.
Can you shortly explain about Indian food? And also about one tradition that I heard about, that Indians sometimes it's okay and it's accepted by Indian society to eat rice and some beet and salad by hands, just by hands, without fork. And can you explain a little bit about this tradition and also about Indian food in general?
Okay, so eating by hand thing, even I eat by hand. Rice we eat by hand. So since I was small, since I was a kid, rice is a staple in any Asian country, right? Like anywhere in Asia, you go to Japan, you go to South Korea, you come to India, Pakistan, anywhere, everyone eats rice, right? But something about like it's a staple in our food, so we have it quite often. So since I was small, we would always have rice, and we would have like curry with the rice, different curries. So I had to eat it by hand. So when I was younger, I didn't know how to, so I would get rice everywhere over here. So you're not supposed to get rice on the palm, right? So like you keep practicing to eat, finally you only get food only on the fingers, it doesn't come over here. So it's like a tradition, right? We say it tastes better with the hand, like when you eat it, right? So yeah, so you like obviously you wash your hand and everything, and then you have the food. But then there's like a certain way to even have it with your hand. Like they say you shouldn't like have it on your palm because that's like a messy eater, right? So like when you keep practicing, you just like have it with your hand because they just say it just tastes much better.
And even in restaurants, they serve and people in restaurant eat by hands, right?
It's not just rice, even there's other stuff. There's like stuff like this stuff called rotis and like paratas, anything. Most of the food we eat with hand. I don't know if we don't eat anything with hand. There's nothing we don't eat with hand. Everything is eaten by hand. Like fork and knives, maybe you use it when I don't know. We don't use it a lot in Indian cuisine. It's mostly by hand. We just appreciate it better that way. But as for cuisine, uh, every state, like I said, has different food as well. So in my state, we have dosha, we have vada. So dosha is like a crepe, it's crispy, right? And you dip it in like chutney and you have it. So that's like a breakfast food. Vada is also like breakfast food. And then there is like all over biryani, right? So these different types of biryani even, right? So there is in the Malabar, like different, like everywhere in India, there's a different way to make biryani, right? And then there is just like this sadhya, which is also from my state, and there's just like all over. There is pav bhaji, which is a snack the northern side, and then aloo paratha. All these, just so much cuisine, and that's actually my most favorite part about being Indian. The food you have is so good, so good, and like every single state's cuisine you get to enjoy, and it's very spicy actually. Indian food is quite spicy.
Spicy.
Yeah, it's very spicy. We love our spice so much. Like we add a lot of flavor in our foods. So usually when we have guests over, we try to tone it down and we give the guests milk as well.
Yeah, interesting. So talking about love and relationships in India, can you name positive and negative sides of dating person from your country in general? It's all generalized.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So the biggest, most common uh, tradition for marriage in India is arranged marriage. So we don't date, right? Culturally, we don't date. There is no dating, right? So what happens is, suppose my parents, they will find an agreement with this other parents to get me married to their son, right? So that's usually how it is. So then what happens is, I meet their son, and then there's like a period where we like just talk to each other, maybe like 2 months, something that 2-3 months, and then we'll talk to each other, and then the marriage is like fixed. Like if I say, like if I don't have a big problem with the guy, then I might say yes, and then the marriage is fixed, and within maybe a few months we'll get married, right? So that's arranged marriage. So not all arranged marriages are forced, right? So people think like, oh, arranged marriage means you have to force to be married, poor child, like that. That's not always the case. Like they have a choice. You can say yes, you can say no, right? But then this is just how usually they prefer it,
Yeah.
right? So most of the marriages in India, I would say, at least, I don't know the statistics of it, but at least 70% must be arranged marriage. Because like my parents were arranged marriage, right? So at the time there used to be huge age gaps between people who are getting married. So my mom got married at 19 and my dad was 31 at the time. It was very kind of weird, right? Huge age difference. There was like I think 12 years age difference, and I was born when she was 20, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, so people get like, women used to back then, my mom's generation, women used to get married quite young, and men and women used to have a huge age gap, but that's not the case now. Now it's like usually like a 3-year age gap, but men is usually always older than the woman. And there's just all these criterias, like, you know, is the man educated, does or is the woman educated, do they come from a good family,
Yeah.
have they dated before? This is a problem. If they've dated before, they should not date before.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, that's how it is. So everyone, whoever dates in Indian society, it's like a secret. Their parents don't know about it. Yeah, their parents don't know about it. Yeah. So yeah, what they've studied, are they from a good family, are they rich, is the person's character good? All these are things that they consider, and then the parents come to an agreement. So that's the arranged marriages side. But then there is love marriages. So love marriages are very less, right? So usually something that most Indians, like, who are like, people prefer to date, right? Just that everyone keeps it a secret. Right? So if they're dating someone, they would try to make sure, like I told you, they only marry within the same religion. Right? Religion's a huge problem. So they look for someone who's in the same religion if they're like, you know, thinking of dating someone, so that it's easier. Because they don't want to, like, you know, because family is so close to them, they don't want to break up the family and go away. So they'll try to convince their family, like, oh, I love this person, blah blah blah. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So there are some people who just like leave the family and go away, right? And then there are some people who the family are like, okay, fine, they get convinced and then they get married, right? And then there are like, in few, like, you know, smaller like states where, like, you know, education isn't, you know, that well. Over there there is like forced arranged marriages, forced marriages, right? So that's a different situation, but mostly it's arranged marriages, and a smaller percentage of it is love marriages. Yeah.
It's so uncommon about to hear about arranged marriages. But for example, if your parents to find you a future husband, can you tell them that you don't want to marry him?
Yeah, you can. Like I said, it's not forced.
But can you choose yourself? For example, you want to have arranged marriage with specific person. Can you tell your parents, go arrange with this?
Yeah, you can show to your parents, like, okay, I'm interested in this person, can I get married to him? You can tell that to your parents, right? So what your parents will do is, the thing about why arranged marriage is such a big thing is because the parents always think they know better, right? They will properly search about the person, they will check if they're someone who is going around sleeping with a lot of women, you know, womanizer. That they will check. They will check if they're from a good family, you know, the family's reputation, if he has money to take care of you, right? Is he educated? Has he, like, is he, what is he, you know? They'll do like a full background check and then they will give you, they're like, okay, fine, he's fine, like he suits our family, you know. So people tend to like marry within their like class, right? So there is like people who are from very rich families, so they prefer to marry like, so that they suit each other, I guess. And then there are like, you know, like that. But then yeah, there is, it's not always like, it's not forced. You can give your opinion, it just might not always be accepted. For me, I'm kind of lucky, my parents are like quite understanding, I'm allowed to date. So my grandparents don't know that, of course. My grandmom keeps saying like, when will you get married, when will you get married? So they're hoping I get married by like as soon as I graduate university, right? Like that. So and then I'm, you know, my mom is against it because she got married so early. She was like, no, you work, and when you want to, just get married.
But you told me that it's not allowed to date, but it's not allowed to date in a sexual point, or in a just even like a friends. You cannot have a friend.
Sexual relationships are very looked down upon in India. Because for a woman, if you are known to have sex, you're kind of like ineligible. They believe like, virgin bride and all that. And like the husband should be their first relationship for like both sides, right? It's not like in my state, it's not double standards, right? Like the men should not be, like I said, womanizers, and for women as well, right? On both sides. So sexual relationships is a big problem, right? For most Indians, they consider it a big deal, even if they're just in a relationship, right? So, but yeah, just even regular relationships aren't like, they're kind of looked down upon. Sometimes your family will know, right? But if they think it's harmless, it's fine. But like any kind of, they're strict parents, basically. That's what.
Talking about beauty standards in India, you already mentioned few things, but can you overall explain the portrait of beauty standard for Indian?
Okay, Indian beauty standards I find it quite interesting because it's so different from a lot of the world standards. So, for example, in Europe, it's like the skinnier the better, right? If you're skinny, like a model, it's the beauty standard, right? But at the same time, in America, it's like curvy body, right? Hourglass figure, like big chest, big, ass, everything. That's the beauty standard there, hourglass figure. But then now, if you go to South Korea, it's again skinny, but like bigger chest and all this different beauty standards. But in India, it's interesting because Indians like a bit like chubby women. They like tummy, like a little bit of tummy, right? Yeah, tummy, like stomach. So they like a bit, yeah, they like a bit of tummy. So usually in most beauty standards around the world, everyone is trying to get rid of the tummy, right? They're trying to hide it or decrease weight so they don't have a visible stomach. But then in India, like actresses, they try to tie their pants like very tight so they look like they have more chubs, like it's more chubby there. Like that. So even skinny actresses, they will like tie their pants like really tight so there's like a bit more chubby here. Because in Indian society, they find it a picture of health and it's sexy, like that. But they also prefer like, more curvy women, because like skinnier bodies aren't very like, people don't like skinnier bodies there. They like more curvy bodies. So like the chubbier the woman, the nicer, right? Not fat, but like more healthy, right? So like, yeah, that's just the beauty standard. Also like fairness is a big from, I mean, I think most countries that was colonized at some point, especially Asian countries, they all as like due to the colonization, they prefer being fairer. So like anywhere in Asia you go, the fairer the better, right? So in India, even till recently, there was this big brand called Fair and Lovely, where if you wear the cream, they say that you will become 5 shades fairer, like that. So you look more white, like that. So even when getting married, this is a thing. Like they will check, like, is the girl fair? The boy fair? Because it's like a beauty standard, right? Which means you're more good looking, which means the children will be fair, like that. Right, like that. So but something interesting is everywhere in India, everyone looks very different, right? So if you go to the way north, like I said, Jammu Kashmir, over there they might have blue eyes, green eyes, blonde hair, brown hair, any color, right? But then now if you come to the south, it's more tan skin, darker hair, darker eyes, like that, features. And then there's like some anomalies, like my cousin has green hair, green eyes, and brown hair, like that. So it's just different. But then light eyes is always like, it's considered beautiful in India, like that. And then what else? I think that's it. Skin color, I don't think India, compared to a lot of countries, isn't very picky about like body standards. I mean, like appearances, beauty standards. But like fairness is a big problem there. There's a lot of problems regarding that. And then just like, they prefer chubby women.
And what about places? The last question is places to visit in your country. Can you tell just few places? What would you recommend to visit in India?
My dad's a travel agent, so we send all the people to different locations. So like obviously, if you want to see one of the world's like greatest monuments, you go to Delhi, you see the Taj Mahal, right? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's completely made of marble, right? And it's just a huge testimony of love, right? So there's Taj Mahal. Now in my state, I think the specialty would be houseboats. So houseboats, how it is like there is a house literally built on a boat, and it goes on like streams of rivers, right? And then they will catch fishes on the boat for you, and they'll cook it and they'll give it to you like fresh off of the water.
Yeah.
Right? And on the way they'll stop at different like museums and like that. But there's honestly like a lot of places you can visit in India. I'm not like, I can tell you places in my state, but I can't speak for the rest of India. Like people go to Goa for like a more beach vacation, right? Because like over there, like yoga, or like in the mornings they do yoga and at the nights they party. That's how like Goan culture is. And then in Kerala it's just much more relaxed. And then people like from my state, what they do is they go on like a trip to the mountains in the north, right? And then if you, there's like the bigger cities like Mumbai and Delhi where you can get like the best food, right? It's like crowded, you can see like all types of people there, like that. um then what, honestly, it's like a different experience in every state. I can't speak for all, but this is as much as I can tell you. Yeah.
So now it's time to spin in the wheel. I will spin the wheel and the random amount of USDC will be appear on the screen, and this amount I will send it to your cryptocurrency wallet as a prize for participation. Ready? $25. 25 USDC. I will send it to your cryptocurrency wallet. Now also we will spin an NFT wheel.
Rare.